Welcome. This is Phoebe.
And this is Ed.
Today we were interviewing Renee Yvonne, a certified clinical sexologist, because we want to share with you how to ask for what you want in the bedroom. After Ed and I have been in the lifestyle for more than 10 years, I've learned that asking for what I want is not only sexy, but fulfilling.
Welcome to Swinger University with Ed and Phoebe.
Here's what you need to know about our sexy guest. She's very passionate about helping Gen Xers reignite the spark in their bedrooms, better communicate their sexual needs, and bring back that wild and pleasurable sex with your partner. She studied at Sex Coach U and the Tantric Institute of Integrated Sexuality. For fun and her personal enjoyment, she likes to cook, bike, swim, and do aerial yoga. She has a website, podcast, and blog, so we will put all that information in our notes for this episode. Welcome.
Welcome, Renee.
Hi, thanks for having me.
We're super excited to talk to you today.
I'm super excited to be here.
So I absolutely love your articles, How to Tell Them What You Want in Bed, Quiet Quitting, and the 7 role play scenarios. And whether you're in an open relationship or not, these articles are gold. So I'm really fascinated with this, how to tell them what you want in bed. So can you just launch into that? Tell us more about this.
Sure. So I started thinking about that because I think in our industry, we talk a lot about talking about things outside of the bedroom, which in some cases you need to do. Like, you shouldn't be in the middle of sex. Like, so let's have this really deep conversation about, all these things I want to do.
Right.
But sometimes you're right in the middle of sex play and something is being done to you that you don't want or enjoy or doesn't feel good. And sometimes we just suffer through it. We're just like, okay, I'll just put up with this. Hopefully this will be over soon. I have some other things to do. And instead of doing that, we should just speak up. And you don't have to be mean about it. Like, I wish you'd stop doing that. I hate it. But you can direct them to say, it really feels better when you do this. Then, or I really like when you touch me this way. Or I really love it. It makes me come when you do this. And that way you're having that conversation instead of, just enduring it, because we shouldn't be enduring sex. Sex should be enjoyable. It should be fun. It should be juicy and exciting. It shouldn't be like, can't wait till this is over so I can finish up This Is Us. That's not how it should be.
Right.
Exactly. So then what if you're not used to having a voice in the bedroom? What if you're feeling like shy, or you're not the person to even make vocal sounds when you're in bed? How do you get to that point where you feel comfortable actually voicing something to your partner?
That's a great question. I think sometimes what I tell people is to practice saying it, like really practice saying it. So the next time you're in that situation, especially if you're with a partner you're with for a while, but to just practice saying it in the mirror, just like, I really like when you do this. And again, it's not a criticism. So it's not, I hate when you do that. It's more, I like when this happens. Sometimes what you can do is show them what you like. And so you can take a night and just say, and if you're comfortable, and if you say, this can be maybe a little harder if you're shy about it. But if you can show them what you like, touch yourself in a way that they can see it. Like, instead of doing something really fast, like to slow it down, you can also just say that. I like it when it's slower. Can you speed it up a little bit? And doing it that way can also help for the person who's a little shy, a little nervous about it, to just kind of practice saying it and then to actually say it when you're in that situation.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, a little self role play, kind of getting yourself into that mind space of being able to just verbalize that, say those things to yourself, helps you to be comfortable with just getting the words out.
Yes. I know when I started asking for what I wanted, I would use very short words like slower or faster or harder or softer. right? Because I was kind of formulating a sentence seemed too mentally challenging at the time because you're focusing on other things and it almost kind of took me out of my my body, and I didn't want to get into a mental space about it. So I started off that way, and that seemed to really help.
Yeah, it does. Like, you don't have to have a full-blown conversation.
Yeah.
Like, let's stop for a moment and let's discuss all the things.
Yeah.
You can just slower or faster. Like that works too. Same message across.
So then for more complicated things, like what if you want to, introduce a toy or a totally different technique or position? Are those the conversations that are best for the bedroom? Would you recommend having that in a sexy space?
It depends. So yes, it could be done in a sexy space. That also can be done outside the bedroom. So that it depends on what you're asking them to do. So, for instance, one of the things I like to do with couples is, and these are all over the internet, but there's they're called yes, no, maybe lists.
Mm. Oh.
And so, what I like to do is give each person a yes, no, maybe list, and they fill it out. So it has like a whole list of it's a sexual menu of things. You could just pick from all types of things. And so you go down the list and you choose one, you choose which one, and you say yes, no, or maybe to it. And then whether you want to give or receive. So you may say anal sex, and you're like, okay, I'd like to receive it, maybe not give that to the person. And then you have comments. And so your comments could be, I'm willing to try this in the next couple of weeks, or only on the weekends because we don't have a lot of time, or something like that, right?
Right.
So, we need a lot of lube, or whatever it is. And so you put that down, and you go through the list, and then you share the list. You share the list, and you say, well, so this person likes, definitely doesn't want to do any type of hair pulling, and then the other person may say, well, I don't want to do any type of anal. So when you're in the bed, there's no surprises. So if your partner doesn't want to do anything around their butt, you don't even have to have that conversation because you already know it's a no.
Nice.
There's a maybe. What I like to tell couples to do is if you have any maybes and they're similar, or the other person doesn't have a hard no, like one's a maybe, one's a yes, one's a maybe, the other's a maybe. What I like to do is tell them, like, write these down, put them in a hat, a jar or something.
Oh.
Sometime when you have time and you're just like, let's do something different, pull one out and then try it. So you kind of had the conversation without having the conversation.
Very nice. Yeah. And that random chance is also kind of sexy because you never know what you're going to get that night.
I like that. I like that. And I like that technique also for starting the conversation about swinging maybe, or opening up your relationship if you wanted to introduce your sexual experiences in that way, where one partner's going to definitely have different ideas than you are. Usually you aren't ever on the same page. Someone's going to want something that you're not, or think of something that maybe you didn't think of that is intriguing, right? So that list is really nice. That's pretty cool.
The other thing that's cool about the list is that you can, as you're going through it, it's a nice way to plan a date night, a sexy date night. And so people often say, like, oh, it's not, it's not romantic, and to plan date nights. I'm like, well, or to plan sex. I'm like, well, you could have no sex, or you can plan to have sex. So it's not just going to happen. Like the movies have us believing, like, we all come in from dinner and we're all like, oh my God, I can't wait to get your clothes off. And that's rarely what happens, right? And so oftentimes you need to plan a night like that, especially if you have younger kids or other people in your home, or you're just tired. Right. You just kind of been passing each other. And so if you pull one out, let's say on Monday, but you plan to have, like, we're busy all week, Thursday, 9:00, that's all we're doing is having sex. And so you have the time to plan it. So if you pull out a maybe, and it's like, oh, okay, we have to get things for this. Like, let's say you want to try toys, but you don't have any toys. I've got to go buy toys. Right? You got to go buy the toys, and we got to figure out what toy to buy, and maybe that's the date. We go to a shop, we find a toy that we both like, that we want to try out, and then we try the toy out. And so you need to plan that. That's not one you pull out on Thursday night, like, oh, we don't have any toys. But this is we want to try toys tonight. So it helps you to plan a date night, which is always fun.
Yeah, I like that.
That sounds a lot.
I like that.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
So what can a partner do? I mean, well, maybe I'll ask this question first. Why do you think women don't feel like they can ask for what they want in the bedroom? What is that?
I think that's a couple of things. I think I think some of it is us wanting to be the good girl. There's a lot of that we've been taught to kind of be that from whatever parents, religion, television, media, whatever. It's kind of told us like we're supposed to be good, we're supposed to be pursued, we're not supposed to want to have sex. And so then we don't ask for it. We're just kind of playing the damsel, like, oh, he's just taking it from me. And sometimes it's that, like, you just don't want to take responsibility for it. Like, I don't want to admit that I want this. So you're just kind of in a space of he wants it, and then I'm just kind of going along for the ride. So we don't ask. And I think another is because we haven't explored our bodies. So we don't know what to ask for when we're in bed because we don't know what feels good to us. And partially because of the other two, because sometimes we just kind of literally laid down and just received and taken it and not participated. And so we don't know what we want. And then we don't know what to ask for because of that. And I think towards the end is that nobody teaches us about sex. We all kind of learn about sex from porn and our friends who also don't know anything about sex.
Right.
Nobody knows what they're doing. So, which is why I love this one. So I think it's a conglomeration of all of that.
Yeah, that's so true. I completely forgot about that part of it. It's that damsel in distress. Oh, lay down. Oh, take me. All the romance novels, right? I'm going to be taken. Whoa. And then, and self-exploration for me as a teenager wasn't what people are doing today. It wasn't talked about. It wasn't okay. Of course, it was always, dirty and secret, and you're going to have someplace evil and all of that, right? So, yeah, I also think that we as women are taught to be people pleasers, and that, everyone else comes first, and we got to give. And we can't just, be selfish and take care of our own selves, put us first. And we should be doing that in a relationship in order to be a good partner and be a good parent. To put ourselves first so that we're there for those individuals that we love and care for on a daily basis. And we're just, we aren't taught to do that.
Right.
And so then that transitions into the bedroom, and you're just not putting yourself first again, right?
That's the point, because when you notice in most porn, in most traditional porn, the sex is the pleasure is really about the guy. The woman is just kind of there to provide it. It's rare that you see that it's also for the woman. If she happens to have an orgasm, it's like a bonus, but that's not never really the case. And so I think when you see that, that's kind of how we learned about sex. It's like, I'm supposed to be here to please him, and he's supposed to come. And if I happen to come, yay. But if I don't, that's okay too. That's kind of how porn is set up. So.
Right.
I know, that's so true. And that's the reason why I hated watching porn for many, many years, because of that. It was so one-sided. And only recently we found some really great porn sites that focus on, that true pleasure between both people. And you can tell it's real. I mean, I've gotten really good at spotting the fake stuff because I faked it. Because I know what that looks like. And then I've gotten really good at spotting the real stuff because I know what that looks like. So when I see the real orgasms in porn, I'm loving it because it's real. It's not fake.
Right.
It's so nice. You wanted to flip it on the men.
Yeah, I want to flip it on the men. what are some things that men can do to encourage women to use their voice, or at least open up the conversation so that they feel like they're supporting their women in asking for pleasure?
Ooh, I think one of the things I'm a big fan of checking in, not interrogating, but just really kind of checking in the middle of sex play to just kind of see how does something feel to your partner. And so it doesn't have to be everything you do. Like, does this feel good? Like, you don't want to do that. Weird, but every now and then you just want to say, like, does that feel good to you? Should I change positions? Do you want it softer, harder, more pressure, less pressure? And that way that shows that you care. You really want her to enjoy that experience. And so that's one way. Another way, and this is it's a little bit more out there, but is if you're ever playing in the BDSM realm and kink, this is a great way to begin communication, because you have to communicate up front what your hard stops are, what your safe word is. You have to communicate through that when you set up any type of scene. And so that's another one if you want to go a little bit on the wilder side, if you will. But
right.
That's always going to be communication in that. And so that's another way. So, and it doesn't have to be major. Like, I think sometimes people think of it, they're like, it's going to be this dungeon. I'm going to be hooked up to someone with a ball gag in my mouth, and somebody's going to be like spanking me all over the place. But it could just literally be handcuffs. And so if you just, a silk tie and handcuffs, but you need to talk about that. Like, is this too tight? Your arms tired when they're up here. Do you want them behind you? Like, you have to communicate those things so that you and your partner are in the same place and both enjoying the experience.
Nice.
Right. Because you could have some childhood trauma related to being tied up or
spanked,
exactly.
Corporal punishment, and you don't know, or that's not going to be, a good thing for you.
Right. And I think that list that you had mentioned earlier would be pretty helpful, especially in that situation where you could kind of know what's on the naughty or nice list, so to speak, what people are looking for.
Right.
One of the techniques that we've tried to get into is at the beginning of a play session, just talking to the other person about what they enjoy and what are the kinds of things that they like to try in the bedroom with new partners. And it's that same kind of thing where you're kind of opening up and asking for them to tell you up front.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And for us, I remembered I really liked what you said, Renee, about do you like this? Because I think in the beginning, you would ask me, what do you want? And that was too much pressure.
Right.
I don't know. And then I was in my head, I don't know what I want. Blah.
Right.
And so he would just do something and do you like this? And then I go, and then I could respond faster, harder, slower, with one words.
Yeah.
And that's all I could do at the time until I, started to gain confidence asking and, exploring in that, which was very empowering. Very empowering.
Because if you haven't explored your body, like for women, it's very different. Like men's genitals are out there, right? So they can just see it, play with it, whatever. Ours are internal, and often we're told not to touch it. If you ask most women, like I like to do this when I teach some of my workshops, I usually ask the women, like, what did your mother or your grandmother tell you to call that part? And I've gotten everything from nothing, like they just literally nothing, to all kinds of names, monkey, orange, and pocketbook, and all these crazy names. And so we don't even have a shared name for it. First
wow.
of all, we're told not to touch it because, it's dirty, or it's, there's all these things, there's all this mystique around it. So if you never touch it and you don't look at it, because we also aren't taught to look at it, right. You don't touch it or look at it, you don't know what feels good to you until somebody else, touches it at some point.
Right.
And even you're not sure how to communicate it because you're like, well, maybe this is how it's supposed to feel.
Right.
I don't like it, but maybe it's okay. You don't know till you do it yourself.
Yeah.
I just say explore. For that one, to ask what you want, definitely explore your body. Be open to just be open. I probably just ended there. Be open to what pleasure your body can experience. So sometimes we've learned or heard things about all kinds of just stuff all over the internet, and maybe we're feeling like, I don't know if I should touch myself there. I don't want to put something there, or that sounds like it would hurt. Be open to it. You don't ever have to do it again if you don't like it. Like, that's one thing I like to tell people. Like, I've tried the electro stem, the
violet wand.
I tried the wand and I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling this. I don't ever have to do it again. I don't feel married to it. I'm not like, when somebody shows up one, I can say, I'm good on that. But there are other things that I've tried and I'm like, I didn't think I would like it. And you try something else and you're like, oh my God, I want to do this every single day. Like, be open, because you don't know what will feel good to you until you try it. If it doesn't feel good, just put it on your I'm not doing that again list. Like,
right. Yeah. Right.
I'm comfortable with
that. Yeah. And the quiet quitting, that I think, as I'm remembering the article now, that's really just people just quitting sex and just kind of giving up, right? Because they're not having that communication and they've just let their sex life die.
Yeah, they're kind of just doing the bare minimum, and not exploring. So it can be like you've been together for a while. If you do, ABC, that person's gonna come.
Right.
It's easy, right? So you never explore out and try maybe the electro stem. You never, you never go out and say, let's try flogging. Let me try to, handcuff you, because if you do this, and this, it's good. We're all good. But one or both of you could be bored with it.
Right.
Because you know exactly how it's going to go. You know how long it's going to last. You can count the pumps. Like, you just know exactly. 3, 4, okay, he's done. Like, that's just not me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So for your workshops, how do those work? Talk a little bit about the workshops that you offer.
Oh, sure. So my most common one is Blow Is Mine. It's a workshop on oral sex for men. It's the one. It's really interesting because most of the women that come say that they are there because their partner would like them to learn more techniques, or their partner really likes oral sex, and they're like, man, about it. They're like, man, he really wants it. So they want to learn some techniques. So that's the most popular one. I teach a companion class called How to Eat Cake. It's for guys, it's for women. And I've had 3 men. And I laugh about this all the time because I'm like, I know there are men out here who should be taking this course. So that was funny. So it's not the most popular. I teach one on kink. It's the beginning BDSM workshop. That is a lot of fun. It's best done in person. I do virtual. Most of my workshops are virtual, but this one's best done in person because I have lots of props and things for people to try. You just can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
I teach one called Sex and Seduction. It's kind of a beginner's workshop on how to seduce your partner, a little bit on dirty talk, and then just learning what seduction is. It's really about expanding your definition of sex and sexuality, because I really like to look at it more as pleasure as opposed to intercourse. And so if people can kind of get out of the frame of mind that it has to be intercourse, they can open their mind to there's pleasure all over your body that you can experience.
Yeah.
Which can still give you orgasmic bliss. So
yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And I almost wonder if a lot of people get into swinging because they haven't maybe explored those different realms with their partner, and they're looking for something else to kind of spice up their sex play, and they discover, the swinging world and all the multiple of things that you can do while you're swinging.
Right.
Although I will say there are a lot of people that we run into that have explored numerous things in the bedroom, and then they come into swinging, bringing those tips and tricks and skills and whatnot. But we've had play sessions. It's just soft swap. It's just nothing but exploration of bodies with hands and mouths, and there is no intercourse. And it was the most amazing experience ever. So that's what we love about this lifestyle and educating people about sexual pleasure. It's endless what you can experience.
It is. It really is. It's so much fun to open people's minds to that in workshops because most of the people that come to me they're very, I guess I don't want to say closed, but it's just that mindset of like, there's oral sex, there's intercourse, there's oral sex and there's intercourse. And so when you kind of open it up to like, have you ever just taken an evening and just given your partner a massage and just touch them in a variety of ways with a variety of things? So your hands, or maybe you take, you may take a paddle or a spatula. You usually have a spatula in the house, and like, just kind of tap them with it and see how that feels. Or something that's kind of sharp and run that down their body, and then something that's cool and something that's hot. Like when you kind of play in that realm, people don't realize like there's all these other erogenous zones on their body because they've just gone straight for the genitals because they know that works. Like I know if I go there, it works. But if you find out like your elbow has these erogenous zones, or that person has, the spine is like the thing that makes them, go like that. Like it's a whole different world. It opens up so much more pleasure than just going straight for the genitals. You have all these other things in your toolbox. That's what I love about it.
Yes, definitely. All right, everyone. Well, we hope you love today's podcast and YouTube video interview with Renee. If you want to check out her website, and in fact, I encourage you to check out her website. She's got a great blog. She has a podcast as well, and really amazing workshops that we talked about in this episode, as well as coaching services and sexy store products, very sexy store products. We have all those links for you in our show notes. Thank you so much, Renee, for being on our show. It was a great, great pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it. Those are great questions too. Thank you for picking those out so I could share some of those most important things.
Yay!
Fantastic.
Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.